All right. So DMD, I am Curtis Webster. I am the founder. I have been steering this ship for about 4 years and some change. And I am so thankful that I have not had to do it alone. There have been some phenomenal guys to come along over this 4-year journey and say, hey, Curtis, we see what you're doing. We love where this thing is going. We see that you're struggling, so we can help you make it better. Scott was one of those guys that was like, dude, you're kind of struggling over here. I got some insight. I think I can help you with, especially in this leadership role. And that is what we are going to talk about tonight. As you guys know, I am looking to, as part of our mission to help us become better dads and husbands. I'm always trying to find ways to bring extra information, extra education. And so here for the beginning, the first quarter of 2019, we have been doing a leadership series. So we kicked off the end of January talking about goals, talking about SMART goals, talking about, Lord, what was the other one? the whole outline of, the one thing. We talked about the one thing and how you pick out what's the most important so that every day you're making sure you're helping yourself to move forward. Today, we're going to take it a step further, and we're going to talk about, when you have goals that maybe aren't as clear, maybe aren't as measurable. So, you want to have those SMART goals, but maybe what about when your goals start off and they're not as smart, right? We're going to talk about some power goals, and we're also going to talk about kind of I would almost say the multiplier, right? Kind of the multiplier effect to really help you accomplish goals at a higher level. And that's delegation. That's bringing in people or building a team to help you with what you're trying to accomplish. Is that about right, Scott? Did I kind of hit that nail on the head somewhere?
Well, yeah, you kind of you hit the nail. Plus, you did a little bit of foreshadowing, and you kind of packaged it all up one nice good package there, Chris. So
that's what I try and do. I can be a little long-winded, so I thought I'd try and put in a nice little package. But yeah, fellas, so that is me. I will now turn it over to our esteemed guest here today, our expert in the field of leadership, and I will let Scott take over and introduce himself.
Thanks, buddy. With that type of intro, I don't know if I'm going to get out of my basement tonight. My head's just going to go. Anyway, yeah, for those guys who don't really know me, and that's obviously going to be a ton because there's over 3,600 guys in this group. I'm Scott McCarthy. So by day,
use guys. Sorry, you got to say use guys because
use guys. Nah, not my style.
Sorry,
anyway, by day, I'm a senior Canadian Army officer. My last job right now, I'm in between jobs per se. I'm on training for the next year and a half still. But my last position, I was a squadron commander over 200 folks within the unit I commanded. And so I do that by day, and then by night, I am a leadership consultant, coach, whatever you want to call me. So, yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and I guess a little bit about my family, because that's the reason why we're here, right?
That's right.
My wife, she's actually a Canadian Army service member as well. So she's what we call a general duty medical officer, aka family med. And we got two boys, Ethan, who's 3.5 and is just a walking, talking path of destruction, and Benjamin, who just 5 months and change now. So wife is actually on maternity leave with one of the great benefits we get up here in the Great White North, full year off, full pay.
Nice.
Or almost full pay anyway.
Yeah, man. That is awesome, Scott. So moving forward leadership, that is your leadership development company.
That's moving forward leadership. I won't waste time, obviously, in that name or anything, but basically to sum it up, it's about kind of what you hinted at, Curtis. Every day, just making yourself better as a leader, right? And and us here, we're obviously trying to make ourselves better as dads, better dads, better husbands. So it all ties in. And as I always say in my podcast, doesn't matter who you are, you need leadership in your life. And we're going to talk about what you hinted at, one of the force multipliers, what I refer to as a force multiplier of leadership, and that's delegation. So I guess I'll frame it with what's force multiplier, right, for the guys out there. And that's a very Army-centric term story. And the force multiplier is basically a resource you add to your unit that immediately multiplies the combat power it could project. So if we're running a company, a couple hundred folks, and suddenly we get tanks attached to us, we get a force multiplier by, and there's actually literally mathematics behind this when we do our training and our operational planning and stuff. So also, your force multiplier, how much combat power you can project out, goes up by that amount of multiplication. And I basically just took that term and then recoined it into a leadership facet, right? We're talking about delegation, and we're going to talk about what delegation is, how to properly do it yourself, because I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there right now, and the guys that I coach and a lot of entrepreneurs that I coach have a really hard time with this, right? They have a really hard time with delegation.
Yes.
So we're going to go down that road. And for the guys out there, I do have my tablet going. I'm like all screened up here. So if you've got specific questions, I will try to answer them as I see them. So if you got a specific question, feel free to answer it. If not, you can always reach out to me, and I'm more than willing to answer them. So hopefully that sets the scene for everybody out there right now.
I love it. And yeah, fellas, so for those watching, I know we have a good number of folks that are already tuning in. Let us know where you're watching from tonight. Let us know what you are up to this evening. We appreciate you spending a few minutes with us. So we're going to take the next 20 minutes and we're going to dive into leadership. One thing I forgot to mention, I want to thank Bill Ties and Shawn Stratton for kicking us off with our leadership series last month. And so that kind of set the framework. So let me ask you guys, how many people wrote out some SMART goals? How many people wrote out some, defined that one thing in that GPS? And how many people did like me and didn't get as clear with everything as they should have, or took the time to write it out? Well, and Scott, I think that's a great place to start, because one of the things you were mentioning is, sometimes you want, or you have a goal that's a little bit more esoteric. Maybe you want to lose some weight. Maybe you want to gain some weight. Maybe you want to move some weight around like I do. So it's kind of hard to put a number on it. Like for me, I was at the doctor earlier today, and he was like, "Oh, hey, you've lost 10 pounds since the last time you were here." And it got me thinking. It was funny because I was like, I wasn't actually necessarily looking to lose 10 pounds. I actually wanted to move the 10 pounds from my belly, up into my arms and my upper chest. So you actually, I remember when I was talking with you and listening to your podcast about power goals, the number actually wasn't the issue for me. For me, it wasn't so much losing weight, it was moving it around. So let's start there. Let's start with that whole how you define these power goals, and for folks that maybe aren't kind of fully clear of what they're trying to accomplish. What's the framework you have for that?
Yeah, for sure. So power goals is something which I have implemented myself, and it does tie into delegation a bit. It's more at the individual level. So power being the acronym, P being the plan. And that's basically, you figure out what you want to do, and most importantly, why you want to achieve it. So Curtis, why do you even want to lose that weight, right? Do you have an idea? Do you know why? Because a lot of people out there are like, hey, this would be a great goal. Well, but why?
Exactly.
Why is it important? And the more you can actually associate that with something super personal to you, the more likely you're going to be able to achieve it, right? So
I love that.
For your example, you want to lose a little bit of weight, and you have this envision in your mind that you want to be able to run around and play with your grandchildren like you play with your kids right now. I assume the way you play with your kids, right? So
right.
So all of a sudden that comes super deep, right? To such a family man like yourself. It's like, whoa, I want to be able to play with my grandkids, because the path I'm on right now, it ain't going to happen. I'm going to be sitting there in grandpa's chair, having up on my lap for a couple of minutes, and that's about it. So, the P is all about planning. What is it, really getting into it?
I love
the O for, and this really goes into yours, is, like you said, you don't know how much weight you have to lose. I don't know what your weight is, and Chris, you don't answer that. Don't answer the question. You don't have to. But like a lot of people out there have this number in mind. Oh, I want to weigh that much. Well, do you? You don't necessarily know. So the O is all about observing, going out and finding those people who are, the influencers in that area where your goal is. The people that are the experts, finding the fitness coach and saying, hey, should I weigh whatever I think I should weigh, or should I be aiming for something else? Well, again, it goes to, what do you want out of your physical fitness? Do you want to become a bodybuilder, or do you want to be able to run around with your family for a day? Because those are going to have two different answers at the end of it. And if you don't know what you don't know, well, you got to go find it. So you observe, you find out these influencers, you find out the experts, and you also, most importantly, find out what their habits and routines are. because that's what actually gets you to the goal.
Exactly.
The habits and routines of what people do is what gets them to the goal. It's not about writing it down on a piece of paper. Those are things that are yes, they will help. They will certainly support you, but it's the habits and routines. How you establish that in your life. So how do you go about doing it? Well, you go about doing it with the next three letters, W, E, and R. Weekly planning, sitting down and actually pounding out your schedule. When am I going to do whatever it is I'm going to do? So for you, you're like, okay, I got a goal. I want to lose, well, I'm just going to say 20 pounds,
Sure.
arbitrary number, right? You want
Sure.
to lose 20 pounds. All right. So what's your supporting action to that 20 pounds? Well, you want to work out 3-4 times a week. We'll say 4. You're going to pump the iron, right?
Or just drink less bourbon. Maybe that will.
Right. You're going to input your calories into, or your food intake into MyFitnessPal, because that's a great way to make sure. Because guess what? Weight loss is simple. It's, calories out has to be greater than calories in. Boom. Simple math. Done.
Boom.
Right. And then the third supporting action to that goal will be, you're going to allow yourself one cheat meal a week. You're going to allow, because your family has Friday pizza night.
That's right. We sure do.
Right. Great. Like, how many people out there that doesn't have Friday pizza? Tell me. Everybody has Friday pizza night, right?
That's right.
Right. So that's
movie
your
night.
That's your one cheat meal. That allows you to live, but while you still go ahead and you chase your goals. So you actually go ahead and you put that crap into your schedule. You say, okay, I'm going to work out Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Okay. And you put that in, and you go ahead and you put in reminders in your phone and say, hey, have you inputted your food in MyFitnessPal?
There you go.
So it's all these scheduling things, because that part actually supports you in the next stage. E, execution, going out.
Yes.
And the thing with execution is everybody's like, oh, it's hard to do. No, load of crap. It's easy to do what you say you're going to do. Just do what you say you're going to do.
Amen.
What happens is life happens, right? Life happens. You wake up one morning, or actually, for us dads, 4 o'clock in the morning, your kid is thrown up all over their bed. You got to get them up, get them into the bath, change their sheets, because guess what? Your wife is on call.
Yes.
She's not even home. So you get the bed at, you're supposed to be heading to the gym at 6 a.m., but you're just finished taking care of your kid at 6. So you're like, it ain't happening today.
That's
I
right.
am not hitting the gym. So guess what? That's when you go, okay, but when am I going to hit the gym now? Because you did set that for 4 times this week.
Exactly.
You got to change. It's all about small adaptations as you go through. So that's E, right? That's execution. Doing what you say you do, what you said you're going to do, and adjust as you go through. And then finally, the R is reflection. How did you do the past week, right? Did you hit everything? And guess what? You ain't hitting 100%. I don't care who you are. Because if you are hitting 100%, I would say your goal is probably too easy to obtain. Because life keeps getting in the way. So, you know what? You're not going to hit 100% every single week, but reflect on it. You go back and you look, all right, why didn't I get my...
Oh, Scott, you still with me?
Curtis?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
A little jump there.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'll go back to reflection and just... Yeah. All right. So our reflection, right? So you want to reflect on every week about your week and how you did, and figure out where you failed, which you will, and see if you can mitigate. So for example, if you wanted to do 4 workouts, you only got 3 and you missed one because you had it planned on, let's say, a Friday morning, but you forgot that's your day to drop the kids off at school, and you don't have enough time between dropping the kids off to school and getting to work and everything else. Well, now how do you mitigate that? Well, obviously you don't schedule your workout on Friday morning, or you schedule it in the afternoon. So it's constantly looking at that and going through this cycle every week. And normally what I do, I put the reflection and the plan and the weekly scheduling together, because then it's like, okay, how did I do the past week? All right, I did well in these areas, so I definitely want to try to keep it. And then, I failed here and here for these reasons, and now I'm going to mitigate via this. So,
no, I think that makes a ton of sense. It's funny because, like you talk about with the goal of working out, and then especially with the topic today of delegation, which we'll kind of jump into and how those two tie together. One of the things I found is I couldn't rely on myself to work out. I actually had to delegate that responsibility to a personal trainer to force me to come out on a regular basis. I had to figure out a way to kind of take to put even extra pressure and onus on myself by delegating it to somebody else in the form of a monthly check to force me to be out there. So what are some of the ways with these different goals? Like I said, I love that framework, and I love how it kind of gives you an ability to look at these things a little bit differently. How can we bring in other folks and kind of delegate aspects of that to help to accomplish those?
Yeah. So the first thing is you need to remember is, what's delegation in the first place?
Right.
Right. And delegation's everywhere. We do it all the time. We're doing it. Heck, we're doing it right now. You're doing it with me, and you delegate me to talk about delegation. We can go in a big circle like that. And then, so we gotta, what is it? It's essentially allowing people to either take on a role or the ability to make decisions on your behalf, right? So that's what delegation is in its purest forms. Yeah. And then we'll go back to the whole why. Well, why is delegation important? Well, it enables you to do your job, whatever it is you're looking to do. So if that actually is in work, right? You as Curtis Webster, i.e. the man for DMD, to worry about DMD things, right? So I'll take the example of you have a moderator team, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Right.
So Jordan leading those guys up. That's a great group over there.
Who's that?
Jordan. I was saying
Jordan. Jordan, right? Yeah, so Jordan's your guy. So you look at Jordan like, hey, moderation, your thing, baby. Run with it. You know what I mean? So now all of a sudden you don't have to worry about that. It's going to be in the back of your head.
Right.
But you got a guy and a team of guys that are taking care of that on your behalf. So that suddenly leaves you to worry about your job, about DMD and how you're going to move DMD through the future and how you're going to get Zucks into the group and, come say hi.
I was talking with some of his folks at Facebook earlier today. ... I will leave more for that later.
Right. So that's why it's important. So in goals though, and we're kind of in two different realms. We got, leadership, organizational leadership, and then you got your personal leadership, right? Exactly. And goal settings is completely in the goals we're talking about. It's more on the personal side. Yes, you definitely can have organizational goals. So there is a bit of a cross-pollination here, guys, but we're going to go to the personal side goal. So in delegation with the personal goals side is that it's back to that whole observing phase and finding those guys and people out there and saying, hey, how do you go about achieving what I want to achieve? How did you do that? Yes. Right? And you suck the knowledge out of them. And then if you find yourself stuck that you can't actually, for whatever reason, even my template of going through the planning and execution reflection isn't still working for you for whatever reason that is, then that's when you need to bring someone else into the picture and delegate your accountability to them.
That's exactly right. Like with my trainer.
Holding your feet to the fire.
I love it.
Because you know what? The craziest thing is, we human beings will allow ourselves to fail, but we'll never let someone else fail.
Yes.
Right? Like, think about it. Like, and we can go in a whole argument now about parenting and all this jazz and why this is why people are messing up their kids because they won't let them fail. But seriously, people will not allow other people to fail that that they have this put into them.
Yes.
Some form of delegation done to them. But hey, I'll let myself fail all the time. It's not a big deal. I fail every day. I'm used to it. So this is where delegation kind of dives in. So you go out and like you said, you hire that trainer. So now you don't have to worry about, what's my workout going to be when I wake up? I get up and I go to the gym and he's got it all planned out for me and he's going to whip my butt. Right.
I love it. Oh, no, go ahead, Mouse.
So on that personal side, that delegation is all about that. It's about taking away the requirement for you to have to do the research, i.e., planning the workout, knowing what you have to work on for the day, and also that whole accountability piece.
No, I love that. I was just thinking of some examples because I know folks might say, you're talking about delegation. Of course, that's got to be on a business or personal, or excuse me, a business or a work side. But I love how like you said, it can definitely apply on the personal side. So folks, for you watching, I want y'all to comment. Tell me if these are some areas that you've been thinking about delegating. Who loves doing laundry? I know for me, I got so many different stacks of laundry. And I see these services actually all around town. And I've seen folks, these ads popping up. Hey, let us come and pick up your laundry. We'll fold it, we'll wash it, and we'll bring it right back to you. Something you might want to think about is, all right, is laundry one of those areas where you're falling short? So maybe you need to delegate it out, right? Look, house cleaning. You talked about kind of keeping ourselves accountable to somebody else. Look, comment below, raise your hand if you do the pre-clean before the cleaners show up to clean the house. Every Wednesday, we have to do the pre-clean because we're being held accountable to the cleaners that are coming to clean the house, because we delegated that out, but we got to make sure the house is presentable for them to come and clean.
The way I look at it, it's you're setting the scene so that they can do what they're actually paid to do. Right? And I'm like, I am not paying the cleaner to pick up the boys' toys.
Right.
I'm paying the cleaner to vacuum the floors and do the dishes and clean the bathroom.
Toilets.
Right,
yes,
exactly.
And clean the toilet. And so, I'll tell you one other thing to consider too is there's some of these different things that y'all might not have thought about. You can look at websites like Fiverr. You can look at Elance. There's so many different places you can look to find personal helpers, or even what they call virtual assistants, that can even help you personally around the house. Some guys might say, oh, I'm a stay-at-home dad, or we're in residency, we don't have a lot of money to delegate these things out. I promise you there's things you're doing on a regular basis that you could get somebody to help you for literally $5 an hour or $20 a project to help you get done, even around the house, not even talking about business and work-wise, right?
Right. So actually, Curtis, if I can just hit pause on you.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to this whole cleaner thing. So.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, man.
For the guys out there, if you look at the little handout there, I got a bunch of different bullet points. If you go to the one that says prepare your team, right?
There it is.
So let's go and let's take the cleaner example and run it through prepare your team. So what's your intent? When you're delegating, you always want to tell them what your intent is. My intent is to achieve whatever, right? So the cleaner is like, hey, my intent for you is to come through, take care of the bathrooms, do the dishes, vacuum the floors, mop the floors, blah, blah, blah. The end state, i.e. my expectations, is that within 3-4 hours a week or twice a week or whatever it is, right, that you have achieved all these goals. Boom, 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 boom. Right? The arcs of fire, this is, again, I'm using a lot of military terms, so boundaries, right? Your boundaries are, hey, go ahead, I want you to do this, 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 but maybe you got teenagers. So you don't touch the teenagers' rooms, because I'm trying to instill responsibility in them to clean up their own crap.
I love it.
Right? So that's an arc of fire. That's a boundary that you're setting there. So, right? And you do this with your team if you're in some kind of organization or if you're running business, right? And then the final part about preparing your team is something in the military we call commander's critical information requirements, i.e. the 3 o'clock wake up phone call. So with a cleaner, it's like, if you're going to be late, if you can't make it someday,
right, if
there's something that is not up to the pre-clean standards that is impeding your ability. So for example, when I had in my last town I lived in, I had my cleaner call me up because I was actually away for a while, forgot that she was coming by that week, and I turned the AC off on her. So she called me up saying, hey, I can't work here. I'm like, oh crap, sorry. This is how you turn the air conditioning back on. She's like, it's 25 degrees in the house. I'm like, you know what? Don't worry about it. So it's that whole right. It's that communication bit. So that's the whole preparation part of delegation. And we just use it in a complete practical example of a house cleaner, which I bet probably 95 to 98% of the guys in this group have them delegate it with. And I would say it's probably one of the best ways to delegate.
Yes. I like you said, I'll jump in real quick. This whole idea of delegation is something I would encourage you all to think about both professionally and personally, because it's probably something that can really help your relationship. Something that, we are right around Valentine's Day, right? An area that was a big point of contention and issue between my wife and I was keeping the house clean, doing some of these different things around the house. And so I had to find out from her, what was it that she was looking for? What were these goals? Like you said, these priorities, what were these different things we wanted to accomplish? What was our timeline? Because literally in residency, we were both working full time. Even with the 2 kids at the house, we were both working full time, and we didn't have a ton of money. But there was a lady in our neighborhood that said, "Hey, I'll come and knock it out for $50 every 2 weeks." She was there for 5 hours. She didn't care how long it took. She said, "I'll do it for $50." So,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So one thing, because we're already like crazy going up on time here, Curtis, and we haven't even gone through the whole gambit. But
I know. That's how it goes.
Yeah, that's the way she rolls. But one thing I want to definitely highlight is preparing yourself.
Yes.
Right. So I'm gonna hit. And for those who have PTSD from the movie Frozen, you probably want to mute for the next second, but you got to let it go. Right. And I'm going to talk about this from 2 different standpoints. So from the organizational business side of it, usually when people get there in a leadership role, or when they're an entrepreneur and they finally are able to build their business to the point where they're hiring people in, they're like, yes, I got it. I'm there. I am the man. Well, guess what? Let it go. Drop your ego, because that's what's holding all this power. And what you have to do is delegate that down, to go back to what I said earlier about why it's important. Well, it allows you now to worry about what your job is. Your job, Curtis Webster Jr., as the man at DMD, is not to worry about my crazy comments in the group. You got Jordan and his crew of, lackeys for that. Right? Back to what your job is. Yes. Your job is to worry about getting Zucks in here. And that's what you should, right? And that's what you should be focusing your time on. If you go back to, the home and personal thing, it's letting your ego go, oh, I can do it all myself.
Yes. Yes.
And us, how many men, us as men, we're horrible for this garbage. Right. We say it all the time. We think about it all the time. It's like, oh, I got this project. I'll do it all by myself. I can do it by myself. I'm a man. Beat my chest. And guess what? You end up in the hospital because you put a nail through your hand or something crazy. You need it. Right? So drop the ego and let it go. And then really focus on what is it that you have to do? What is it that you have to do?
That's right.
Right. And again, there's 2 different realms, and I can go into a lot more details, especially on the business side, because it's more context, more formulated. But still, on your side is, what does it have to do? Well, for you, for losing weight and getting in better shape, the only thing you have to do is put your butt in the gym.
Yeah.
And put in the work. Now that you've delegated the program to a coach.
That's exactly right. I love it.
Right.
I love it.
There's a question there. I don't know if we want to dive in. I can dive in and answer quick.
Sure. What did they ask? I didn't even see it. What did they ask?
Abe, I'm sorry, Abe. I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name, buds, because
Abe.
I'll just butcher it. But anyway, Abe says delegating tasks can be easy. Yeah, for sure. It can be sometimes. But the hard part I find is remembering how to or who to follow up on. What tips do you have for following up after delegating?
Yes.
This is literally in my notes, man. So what you want to do, especially I'm taking it from a organizational side, a business side, is you want to set those, scheduled meetings with who you've delegated what to, right?
Yes.
You want to get those back briefs. And again, it goes back to the preparation of your team as well. When I said arcs of fire and critical information requirements. So you want to set those out when you delegate it to your guys. So, sorry about that. So, they should know. You should let them know, like, hey, in this project, if X, Y, or Z occurs, you let me know ASAP. First thing, no, right away. You basically beat the walls down and come find me. But if that doesn't happen, I want to see you every week on Wednesday afternoons, or every 2 weeks on Thursday afternoon mornings, or whatever.
Most definitely.
Set up those regular progress back briefs, what we like to refer to them as.
Yes.
And then as well, and prepare them. Let them know what those critical information requirements are, so that you don't get blindsided and suddenly they're not sure. And ultimately, the best word of advice I have for you is instill them that they can come to you at any time and ask questions without any recourse. And that's one of the hard things that especially a lot of people have is like, shouldn't you know this? Well, not necessarily. don't automatically assume that they know everything or should know everything, right? So allow that open door for them to come in a very relaxed, informal setting, shoot questions, ask you questions, and then and
Yeah.
keep that flow of communication going. So, CCRs again, regular scheduled back briefs, progress briefs, and then keeping that open door policy, and they'll come and they'll follow up for sure. Hopefully
That's
that answers, man. If not, shoot me a message.
No, dude, that's awesome, and I'll jump on that real quick. Like I said, I know we're gonna take this one a little bit longer, and I think that's all right. Folks that want to hang out can. I've learned, especially as I've tried to pull guys in from Fiverr, or even just guys in the group that have said, "Hey, let me help out with something." Having those kind of clearly defined goals and setting something I learned a long time ago, set a meeting from a meeting, knowing that we're going to go ahead and follow back up on this conversation a week from now or a couple days from now. And that we have, like you said, an opportunity for communication, whether that's through Facebook Messenger or text or calling, I think helps. I can't tell you how many times I would find a virtual assistant or talk with somebody and give them an open-ended project that didn't have any clear parameters. And next thing you know, you're running up this huge bill because they're like, oh, well, you told me to go and research ways that we can grow an online Facebook community. And 20 hours later, they're on page 50 of this online report. Oh, no, that's not what I meant. I wanted you to, tell me this specific thing about how to grow an online community within, this right here.
Yeah.
And these are the parameters. So everything you mentioned, those kind of three things right there was huge. And I can't say I have personal experience. I can show you my checkbook that's fallen apart, or where I had to write these checks for unnecessary work I had people doing because I wasn't clear on the expectations.
Yeah, it's like any job. If any guys are in renovations, the foundation, the start of the reno is what saves the time and money at the end, right? So it's the same thing in setting your expectations and handing out tasks. So same thing, man.
Scott, I don't know if you saw William's question here. This dude hit the nail on the head. I have run into this so many times. This William Tartar, I love saying his name. It was William Tartar says, sometimes it's difficult to delegate a task because you only have confidence in yourself to get it done right. Boy, can you preach. How can you better reassure yourself that you actually can trust someone else to handle a task correctly? Man.
So I'm going to go back to, for those guys who have.
Do you mean like asking your PM to put the toilet paper roll on the thing the right way, or load the dishwasher with the?
Sorry, boys, I have no solution for those two things. I battle that on a daily basis. So I'll go back though. And I'll say it again. For those guys who have PTSD from Frozen, mute now and let it go. That's your ego. That's your ego. And I've coached entrepreneurs in this so many times. It's your ego that thinks you're the only one that can do it. So this is what happens in pure delegation. I'm going to run you through a very small scenario, right? So we go back. You have your first meeting. You say, I want to achieve this. So maybe Curtis is, I want to achieve 5,000 gentlemen in the group next year. Right. And maybe let's say you have a planning team.
Right.
It goes out and, plans that and executes getting this done on your behalf. Wouldn't that be lovely? This is a made up scenario. And they're well paid to do that. And of course, I'm running
board I have in place to help me.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what you want. That's your kind of end state, right? You want to grow the group, and you want to, and your intent is, to expand the group to be able to offer more services with an end state of 5,000.
There you go.
Right.
That works.
So you tell your guys, that's what I achieve. Go back and now come back and tell me how we're going to achieve that. And you know what? You might have solutions in your mind right now. You're like, oh, okay, we'll just do some more social media posting. We'll hope on the spread of mouth campaign by the guys are in a group and a few other ways. And we should be able to expand and get our ways up there.
There you go.
But maybe your team's going to come back and they're like, hey, we got this new way, blah, blah, blah. We can do it this way, that way. And all of a sudden they're throwing you options that you haven't even thought about. Why? Because if you had actually said, okay, this is what I want. I want 5,000 guys a group. We're going to achieve it by word of mouth and social media posts. And they would be like, okay. And they would have went off and done it. And you probably would have hit about 4,000, 4,200.
There you go.
Right. But all of a sudden you're now empowering your guys to say, hey, go out, find me solutions. So it's your ego that's keeping you away from trusting your people to go out and achieve. Because guess what? 99% of the people, the population out there actually want to do a good job.
Amen.
Right?
That's right.
If you actually haven't set the conditions for their success, that's your fault now. So,
boy, y'all be taking some notes.
So that means you either haven't given them the proper arcs of fire, you haven't given them the proper CCIRs that I keep referring to as, coming back. You actually haven't set up enabled them to have the communication to come back to you, to feel the ability to come back to you and ask the questions that need to get asked. I guarantee you, if you go ahead and empower them to do a good job and find a way to achieve what you want to achieve on your behalf, they're going to go out there and they're going to knock your socks off. Because my last job, I had 200 people, 3 diverse different subsections within it. You think I was the guy that was running buses, turning wrenches, worrying about contracts? Hell no. Yeah. I would mess that crap up.
Yes.
There'd be buses running by with tires falling off and taking out troops as they march by. Because you delegate effectively, right?
I love it. Man, Scott, let me say something here real quick. William, if you are still listening, something I had to learn the hard way. And I see Jamie just popped on here, and I'm gonna give a quick shout out to Jamie, who raised his hand and volunteered to help me with some of the marketing stuff, because he's got a background in social media marketing and content development and so on and so forth. Here's something I realized: I can sit here and try and do it all, but Scott, you hit the nail on the head. This is the statement that I learned: done is better than perfect. Something being done and something being completed is better than me trying to sit there and say, I got to do it my way because I think the way that I'm going to do it is the best. Because here's the challenge. I only have so much time in a day. I only have so much knowledge and know-how. And when I delegate things, it ends up getting done. And a lot of times, as Scott just said, it ends up getting done better and faster than when I try and do it my way because I thought I had the best idea. And Scott, I'm going to let you jump back in.
And I'm going to tell you, perfect is a myth. Perfect does not exist.
Amen.
All right. If you're there, you're looking for the perfect plan, you're going to fail. Because guess what? As we say, no plan survives contact with the enemy. Again, it's very militaristic, but I'm going to turn it into 2 sides here. I'm going to turn it into the business side. I'm going to turn it into the stay-at-home dad side. Right? Your enemy could be your competitors. It could be the economy. It could be the market fluctuations. It could be your suppliers. You don't know. So if you're there waiting for the perfect plan, one of those 4 factors may change on you by the time we're done this conversation. And all of a sudden your plan's just gone out the window and you're left behind scrambling. So guess what? Get something solid, sort it out, get your team working on it, and get action going, because action always speaks more so than just words and paper. On stay-at-home, in the family side, your enemy is the weather, your finances, your kids sometimes.
I was gonna say your children.
your PM sometimes, right? It's like, yeah, you might have a goal. Maybe, like I said, you have a goal of working out. And all of a sudden the PM's call schedule changes and you can't go to the gym when you expect it. So how do you mitigate that?
Exactly.
Well, you either change your workout for a different day, or you go ahead and you do it in your basement.
That's right.
When the kids are all sleeping. You figure out a way. So no plan. You could sit there and work the perfect plan. All of a sudden it goes to crap anyway.
I love it. And I think that's a big issue too. I think sometimes, all of us have this big old long to-do list. We know the stuff we would love to delegate, but like you said, we get stuck sometimes so much in the planning process that we don't know where to draw the line just to start pulling the trigger, right?
Right.
So I think the whole planning thing sometimes is a big part of the enemy. We think we got to plan, because like you said, you want to set the proper foundation. But sometimes we get, what they call it, get stuck in procrastination or information detailitis and whatnot.
Analysis paralysis, right?
There you go. Yes.
You get stuck in analysis paralysis. So what if, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? At a certain point, you got to chop that.
Yep.
You got to chop that and you got to move forward. You got to move forward with the information you have. And the information you don't have, you have to make logical assumptions until proven otherwise and move forward.
let me jump in with this real quick. Like I said, I know we're going over, but hopefully y'all get some good stuff here because we rolling now. Something I learned, I can't remember who I was talking to, if it was Mike Lichardi or if it was Ryan Inman, but I was talking to one of these folks, and they told me, they said, hey, you know something I learned and figured out about when I'm trying to figure out who can help me the best in a situation. They said I would go out and I would have all these different folks. I would go out and say, I'm looking for a VA. Actually, I was talking to Mike earlier. He's looking at a new logo for his event planning company. So he was like, oh, I need to go out and find the perfect graphic designer to help me get this idea across. Instead of going out and trying to find and hire the right person, he put it up on 99 Designs, or even I know you have a good sponsor. What's the company you use for all your graphic stuff? Penji. So, 99 Designs or Penji or whatever else that works, you can put it out there. And then all these folks now are coming to you with these different options. They present these different ideas so that now you can choose. I remember I was talking with them and they said, and I've done this myself, instead of trying to find the right person to hire, I would pick 3 different people. I would give each of them either the same task or a very similar task and give them all parameters to bring back a result. And now I'm able to actually compare their work ethic and compare their abilities against one another, instead of me sitting there trying to steady find and try and hire the right person the first time.
And without trying to sound like a broken record, all that swings back to preparing your team, right?
There you go.
So you're preparing them. So what's your intent for your graphic design? What is it you want to highlight that's about your company? What end state do you want out of that graphic design? So what is it going to be used for? Right? Arcs of Fire, how big? Is it a banner? Is it a square? Do you need it to be a JPEG at the end? Do you not want certain colors used? Do you want certain colors used? Do you not want certain references? You don't want a swastika in there. Yeah, probably important to be put in there. You know what I mean? So it's all about that preparation part and letting them know. And then, and that's exactly how it works. They come back with the options, and I guarantee you, I know it. I couldn't even envision what Penji built for me. It wasn't even in my mind.
Yes.
Right? And they came back with a few different options for me. And boom. So, it's exactly how it's supposed to flow and work, right? And that's just pure delegation in a contractor terms, right? So how you go out and you hire somebody to do something for you.
So let me ask you all this as we get ready to wrap up, and I'll let Scott hit on his last 2 points to follow up and move forward and celebrating the wins. Let me ask you guys this: how many people know that they have something they should delegate, or how many people have delegated stuff and and are feeling the rewards of having or starting to build teams to help in some of those things that you're trying to get done? Whether it's around the house, we talked about the example with the house cleaners, or it's around the work area, and maybe in the efforts of a virtual assistant, or maybe brought on a partner, or something else. Shoot me a few comments and let me know ways that you found to delegate, or if you're kind of stuck and you're needing to figure out who you can kind of tap on the shoulder to help you. And then Scott, I'll let you jump into your last couple of points as we wind it on down here.
Yeah, for sure. So follow up and move forward. I'll go through quickly. It's basically how I answered the question earlier. Doing that scheduled progress updates, fostering that ability for people to come and ask those questions, and then getting those updates and then making those decisions to move forward with your project. Celebrate your wins, but learn from the failures. I'm going to spend a little bit more time here.
Yeah.
So take this to heart, especially for the guys in the business world. Your people are the reason why you win, and you're the reason why you fail. Okay, I'll say that again. Your people are the reason why you win, and you're the reason why they fail. So I have what I refer to as an extreme leadership approach. And basically, it's summed up right there. Your people are the ones that are out there running your business. They're the ones that are doing it. They're doing the sales phone calls. They're the ones that are pounding the pavement. They're the ones that are doing the marketing for you. You're worrying about your future. Yes. You're worrying about the planning process. You're worrying about strategic level stuff. But in the end of the day, they're the ones that are bringing in the revenue. They're the ones getting the clients. They're the ones that are actually doing the work on your behalf. Yeah, you may be there helping them out from time to time, depending on the size of the organization. If you're only 5 people, guess what? I would expect you to be getting your hands dirty. But still, they're the reason why you win, because they're the face of your organization.
That's
and
right.
You're just one person, right? You're the reason why they fail, because you actually didn't provide them something that you should have, whether that was clear direction, the proper training, the proper arcs of fire. Go through everything.
That's right.
you're the reason why they fail. So you got to reflect on those failures. And so many times, and I'm going to throw in 2 stories quickly here. I've been coaching people and they're like, oh my God, I'm going to fire him. I'm like, why? And they go through all the mistakes that they've done. I'm like, right, now reflect on, let's take one of these scenarios. So they didn't do the outcome that you wanted. And then let's reverse engineer that. And then I'm like, how clear was your direction? Well, I told him this.
There you go.
I'm like, I don't even have a clue what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Right? So most of the time, the single point of failure is the words out of your mouth as the leader of the organization. Right?
Right.
Right at the beginning. So if someone's not doing what you're expecting them to do when you delegate a task to them, reverse engineer the process of how that delegation occurred. And I guarantee you 98% of the time, you're going to figure out that you're the reason for that fault.
That's right.
Now, the second reason, to go back to not trusting.
Yes.
I was coaching a guy, and he's like, man, we just lost a big request for proposal. I'm sure we would have won. I'm like, okay, let's run through it. And he explained, like, they're working with a vendor. There's been some changes. He knew there's some competition in on it. And they were there. They were at the 98% solution. Their RFP was going in. Boom, good, done. He's like, I was gone off on conference all day. Left the work phone on silent. Did some networking, all this jazz. I'm like, okay. You know exactly where I'm going, right?
Exactly.
Right? So while he was away, not looking at his phone, doing all the networking things and all that jazz, change order came in for the RFP. No one was delegated to make the call.
Right.
They missed the window.
Yep.
Right? Because no one was put in charge to make the call, to make the change, to get the new RFP in. Boom.
Missed the window. Done.
Missed it. Done. Take a seat. And he's like, oh, but I didn't trust my team. I'm like, right. So let's assume you would have made 10 grand. If you did this RFP, I'm pulling numbers on my ass.
Yeah.
But you would have made 10 grand. He's like, yeah. And if one of your guys did it, you only got 5 out of it. He's like, yeah, that's probably what would happen. I'm like, is 5 better than 0?
Amen. It is.
Trust your people. Core value. Trust your people.
Trust your people. Man, I'm telling you.
I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, that speaks volumes, man. I love it. That it goes back to what we were saying earlier. Done is better than perfect, right? Done is better than doing it your way and thinking that you're the end all, the be all.
So if I can sum up, trust your people, lose the ego, and I guarantee you, give them the ability to come back to you with options, and you'll see.
There it is.
You'll fly.
I love it. Something, Abe, who's been watching since the beginning. Abe, I appreciate you, man. I can't wait to hang out with you at the end of the month in St. Lucia. Abe and his wife are one of the couples coming to with us to hang out in St. Lucia for our first couples retreat. So me and Abe are going to get to talk delegation. And he wrote on here that he's delegated some activities and chores and things to his kids, such as preparing dinner, feeding the dog, and picking up after dinner. A lot of times we think about delegation like it's got to be folks outside of the home. It's got to be, spending money. But I actually had my mom, who was one of my best, assistants and folks that I delegate things to. Me and her, we go back for years, working on projects. And so I delegate things to her. Grandparents, folks all the time when it comes to babysitting and different things like that. All right, that's delegation, right? Hey, we're going out. So we're going to bring a grandparent in. There's different ways to do delegation without just spending money or without it obviously being in the workplace.
It's everywhere.
You got to get
absolutely
creative.
Everywhere.
Got to get creative. You can delegate everything. So Scott, let's do this. Let's go ahead and bring it on in here. I know one of the things we were going to talk about is an opportunity for folks that know that there's some goals they need to work on. They know that there's some things they need to delegate, and they want some hands-on help and even some accountability. I think you got a great opportunity for them to be able to get some of that, right?
Yeah, that's right. So here's the deal, guys. If you want to get real with some goals for this year in 2019, if you want to learn a few things, you want to be held accountable, I'm going to open up a slot for 10 guys. And we're going to run an 8-week camp with this.
10
10,
guys,
10 guys.
8 weeks.
10 guys, 8 weeks. Curtis has got a preview, and he's only got a very slim preview of what's to come. This is more than an accountability group. I'm going to roll you through the whole process with Power Goals. So you're going to learn more in depth. I'm going to be there helping you through the whole process. You're going to set those goals, and you're going to start crushing them for 2018 throughout the 8 weeks, and then hopefully even beyond 8 weeks. This 8 weeks is not the end marker, right? That's the beginning. At the end of the 8 weeks, it's supposed to be the start, not the end. But again, and here's the kicker, right? It's going to be free, but it's only 10 guys.
For a low price of zero.
Free. We're gonna have weekly accountability meetups and a bunch of other stuff that I'm just not going to talk about right now. So the deal is that there will be a link posted, a form, and you got to be real. And it's not for the faint of heart. So if you're like, sounds like this might be for me, it's probably not for you. If you're going, hell yeah, bleep, 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 I want some, you hit that link once I publish it. Fill out the form and, write out your answers wholeheartedly, because I expect there will be more than 10 guys apply for this out of the over 3,600 guys that are here.
That's right.
And we're only limited to 10. So I'm going to pick the guys. You basically got until the 27th of Feb to hit the form. On the 28th, I'm going to be vetting, and I'll be reaching out to the 10 guys that are going to be in the group with us. So it's going to be all about setting your goals, the process of going through, setting them, obtaining them. We're going to work on some mindset stuff as well. And there's definitely going to be some key accountability pieces built in there too, to make sure that you go ahead and crush your goals. Because like I said, you'll let yourself fail, but you'll never let anybody else fail, right? So we're gonna maximize on that.
I'm telling you, if y'all are excited about that, shoot me a comment down below, because it's gonna be pretty awesome. It's an opportunity. I don't know if y'all are anything like me. When you got 100 things going on between trying to keep up with with the spouse's schedule and trying to keep up with the kids and trying to do your own thing, whether it's professionally or personally, you're trying to, do some life goals and some health goals and some, spiritual goals or whatever else. This accountability group and this mastermind group, really, that's really what you call it. It's going to be an opportunity for you to get some guided help on anything it is that you're looking to accomplish. And you got one of the best guys in the industry, one of the best guys in the group here with Scott, that's going to kind of walk us through it, and something that he would normally charge clients, hundreds of dollars for, he's given to 10 select guys. So if this is something you're excited about and you want to, really kick 2019 off to a great start. I mean, we're already the second month in. We're about to be 90 days, 60 days into 2019. If you want to make sure that the rest of the year is as best as it can be, because like he was telling you, I have some big, audacious, what they call them, hairy, audacious goals for DMD as well as for my personal life here in 2019. And I need all the accountability and mentorship that I can get. So I'm taking advantage of all these opportunities. So if you want to join me, put a little, like symbol or a little, raise your hand in the comments. And then Scott's going to share this link, and I highly encourage y'all to get it in, because you have until, what'd you say, 9 days from now, the 27th?
Yeah, 27th is when I'm going to close the link, and then at some point that day, and then the 28th, I'll be pushing out messages to the 10 guys. And keep in mind, the group will be a total of 12. It's going to be me and Curtis, and then the 10 selected guys. So it'll be a total of 12 of us in there. And guess what? I'm going to be completely transparent with you. I'm going to be putting out my goals in there, and then we'll be working through them too, right? Because that whole thing I said at the beginning, let that ego go, right? Just because I'm the guy leading the group doesn't mean I know it all. Maybe there's some experts in the group that are experts in my goals. So
there you go. Yeah, right. I tell you, you guys, y'all open up my mind, open up my eyes all the time. I'm learning something new every time I talk with a different guy in the group. I tell y'all all the time, I don't know it all. Me and Jordan, we talk a lot. I have an advisory board that, as a matter of fact, Rob just said he was going to join us, and he's part of my advisory board. These guys, you guys are always opening up my mind and blowing my mind as to the opportunities and the options and what we can do to help grow this thing. Because at the end of the day, I'm trying to become a better dad and husband. I figured there were other guys out there that were trying to do the same thing. And here we are 4 years later, almost 4,000 guys in 25 plus countries around the world, shaking hands on stage with Mark Zuckerberg, getting a personal invite out to Facebook headquarters because we're making headways, fellas. So if you all are looking to crush 2019, I'm telling you, y'all need to jump in on this. It's going to be an awesome, awesome opportunity. We're going to keep these monthly webinars rolling. Let me know what you all want to hear about. Like I said, we're going to do this leadership series. I got to get with Doug Kraus. We're going to get a whole real estate thing going because we're about to get into spring, and everybody knows when spring rolls around, that's when home buying and home selling season rolls up. So we're going to jump into a spring kind of real estate session. So look forward to that. Scott, you got anything else as we wrap up? I know we went extra long tonight, guys, but I hope y'all enjoyed it. So Scott, any final words?
Yeah, for sure. Guys out there, if you get any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Hey, Chris, mind if I do a quick shameless plug as well?
No, I was just about to invite you to do so.
All right, cool. So if you want to learn more about the podcast that I do and the services that I do, just go to movingforleadership.com. And that's where everything is hosted, right? All my social media is at the bottom. The podcast is there. If you want to work with me, shoot me a message. If you got a question, hey, you've got one question, yeah. I'm not going to charge you for that. That's not what we're about. If you want some coaching, yeah, we can definitely discuss. As I'm literally talking this, I am literally about to hit send on that link as well for the Power Dads group is what I'm referring to, or Power DMDs group.
Power DMDs it is for DMDs only, right?
Right. It is for DMDs only. I'm not letting anybody else in here. It's going to be only 12 of us total. 10 guys let in. It's going to be myself, you, Curtis, and 10 guys. So, yeah, come get some.
Yeah, I love it. And fellas, I didn't even mention this at the beginning, but you all know I have the DMD Spotlight podcast, which I will be kind of revamping and getting that back up and running. But it's funny, as we talk about goals and what we need to focus our time and so on and so forth in delegation, that was one of the things I had to kind of let fall off the track. But Scott was huge, actually instrumental in getting that DMD Spotlight podcast up and running. He helped me with the original editing. And you're going to hear a few more episodes that are going to roll out.
Once Curtis gets them to me.
Yeah. Here's the best part of delegation. Actually give the people the stuff that they're asking you to do. You got people saying, I'm ready to do it. You got to actually give them the stuff to do the job.
Curtis, is that ready? Curtis, Luke, Curtis, hi.
Look, if it was up to Scott, y'all would have had some new episodes for the DMD Spotlight podcast months ago. That's all me, and I apologize. But as y'all know, I'm working on it. I'm trying to let it go.
Good, brother. We'll work on that through Power DMDs.
But all right, fellas, it has been long enough. Thank you all so much for trusting us with your time. Thank you for being a part of the community, because truly at the end of the day, you guys are what makes DMD great. So as I always say, life is better when we do life together, and I will see you all on the next webinar.